Hey, Paula. Yeah, you made it. How you doing, love? Hey, I did forget something. I forgot I smoked something. Just get a pack that ain't even open yet. Hanging in here, love. About it. Okay. Um, I've not been um too hot for the last. Thank you, love. Oh, wait a minute. look, look, the one that ain't been open. Sorry. Uh, Waiting in the snow. Yeah. Uh, they talking like we might get some. I don't know. Uh, I have no idea. Uh, I've had some kind of cold or something. I don't know what it is, but thank you. Um, I ain't. I've not been able to do nothing but ache and fever. It hadn't. Well, it caused me to cough more, but I just feel, yucky, kind of deal. Uh, I, hey, Alicia. I feel a little better today than I did yesterday. It was like everything was trying to settle up in here. It's crazy. Um, hey, Lynn.
Hey everyone.
Christina's sitting over here eating her some good old shrimp. There you go. So maybe I can shake this thing in a day or two. Uh, I ain't want to do anything, just lay around. The last couple of days, we had to run to uh, store earlier. Um, that well, you'll see what I'm talking about too when I videoed right along when we went. And anyway, yesterday I couldn't get my shot thing to work, and I thought it was messed up. I thought it's supposed to fill up every time you put a new vial of that stuff in it. Well, that ain't the case. So anyway, that Ozempic shot. Um, so we went down there today, and I told them to fix it or something. I got how my shot. I supposed to took it yesterday, and so she gave me another one with some extra vials in it. So I took it today, and it's it's bad about bounding you up, but it it works tremendously as far as helping your sugar and losing weight. Um, I don't knock it just because of the constipation. Um, because there's things out there like that you can take. I used like the chocolate bars. I take two little squares, and within the next day, it works. Um, but presently, I can do at least 10 pound a month. You know, I'd like to get it down there like I was. Uh, Ever since back in '97 when I had that wreck with my brother and Ricky, uh, and broke my neck, and everything just seemed to go downhill from there. Couldn't do certain things, couldn't hold my head a certain way. Took me over 2 years to get where I could turn my head sideways, either way. And muscles are, if you don't use them, you lose them. And that's what was happening. And out of depression, I guess, boredom, you sit around and eat, and, all that junk. Knowing good and that good well, don't need to do that. But anyway, I did. It just got out of hand. Um, up till I was 19 years of age. I, I've always been in shape, always. Um, my daddy was that way. Um, he's never had to go to the gym or anything. Um, and I miss, you know, being able to wear certain clothing and stuff. I've gotten such a habit of wearing my joggers that I could probably lose every bit of this weight and I'd still just wear my joggers. But sometimes when it comes to like a funeral or something like that, I put on a pair of, dress pants, a dress shirt. Thank you, love. And I just I just don't feel comfortable wearing stuff like that right now. Um, I know it's going to help him in multiple ways because losing some of this weight is going to take some of the pressure off my back as well. I mean, you're carrying around a lot of weight and that puts pressure on your back and everything else. And I can't stand too long. That nurse that come in here try to tell me I need to exercise and all that. I'm like, you ain't telling me nothing I don't know. I said, but you got to at least be in shape to do a little bit of that stuff. I said, that's the point I'm getting across, you know. And she just kind of laughed it off. But it's a proven fact. If you're not at least in some shape to do a little exercise and gradually do it, you know, if you don't do it on one of your good days, you're not going to do it at all. Hey, Lisa. So I, I'm proud of this Ozempic. Uh, thank goodness I finally got on it. I like to lose about 85 pounds, and that would drop me back down to my about 180, 185, something like that. Um, but I don't want to get skinny either. I just want to get back like I was. Um, I, it does work good. Yes, it does. Um, and once you take them shots, hey Kathy, um, for a while, just talking about food will turn your stomach. It's weird how it works, but it does. Um, do me a favor, taste your granny. I forgot to. I was on this thing here. Uh, we're going to uh, listen uh, to some investigators that has came back and went through Jack and Lily's home and some of the details that they have found. Uh, I know a couple of months in on it, they said that some of the canines wouldn't even go to the bathroom. They stopped at a borderline and wouldn't go no further. We all heard that night. Now, everybody that was on here, now you new ones, if you watched it, then you know too. If you didn't, you need to go back and watch it. It's Jack and Lily Sullivan. Uh, he plainly said that she picked him up by the throat and took him in the bathroom and threw him around, and that's what did it. And then she tried to claim that, well, he fell down the basement steps. Well, that didn't happen either because your mobile home don't have no basement to start with. They ain't done nothing but lie. And one way or the other, even with the help of these children, evidence is going to prevail. And finally, they use statistics plus tax. Statistics. Anyway, uh, over, you know, what they've said, what they've found, and all this. Um, you know, it takes something for a child to tell on its mother or father. It really does. And like I said, she was just throwing him all over that bathroom everywhere. And I guess when she got tired of that, she threw him back down in the hall. I don't know, but did you text her, Christina? Did you text your granny?
Yes, she's texting me right now.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna listen to this some new stuff that they got a warrant to go in and do this. So they have not hung their head up for Jack and Lily, and that's awesome. Um, well, let's just see what they got to say here. Tonight might be a little bit longer live. Hope y'all don't mind.
The bathroom was spotless, too spotless, and that's what gave them. The bathroom was spotless.
Oh, don't start with that stupid stuff. Go back.
Too spotless, and that's what gave them away. 7 months after 6-year-old Lily Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack vanished from their rural Nova Scotia home, a forensic team stood in the darkness of that second-floor bathroom. The room looked innocent, normal.
Did you hear that? Did everybody hear that? The second floor bathroom. I hope everybody heard that because I did. And we are talking about a double wide mobile home. Hey, Beck.
A family bathroom with children's bath toys still sitting in a basket by the tub. Toothbrushes lined up by the sink, towels folded neatly on the rack. But appearances lie when someone's trying to conceal what happened. The lead forensic specialist raised the luminol sprayer. One press of the trigger. The chemical mist settled over the tiles, the walls, the floor. Then ultraviolet light cut through the darkness, and the room lit up in fluorescent blue. Glowing streaks across the floor. Traces on the bathtub. Residue on the sink. a pattern on the wall 3 feet from the ground, exactly the height of a 6-year-old child. What they found wasn't just biological evidence.
We had a lucky night that night with Jack. They actually backed off and let him speak. And I said, did mom, take you to the bathroom and uh, all this and that whenever she picked you up? And he said, yeah. And he said, choked me. So she lifted him in the kitchen by the throat. And then the bitch had enough nerve to take him in the bathroom, and he admitted it. She threw him around. He hit the side of the bathtub, hit his head and all on the sink. Hit the toilet, and just like it just said about the height limit of bloodstains on that wall. Now, Jack told every bit of this, and if this is what pisses me off. Every time anything happens, they say, well, we'll take any information we can get. No matter the source, we'll take it. That is a damn lie. He admitted to what his mama did to him. And she tried to cover it up, saying that he fell down the stairs going into the basement to wash clothes, but landed perfectly on a sheet, And then she had him and that other feller to wrap him up and put him in a sleeping bag in that sheet and haul him off. And they admitted to it. I don't know what kind of law they got going up there, but they're crookeder than a dog sign leg. And after this thing's done and settled, whoever is overseeing all this with these missing cases, and there's still a few still left up there close to the pipeline. The ones that have turned a deaf ear, that's in some way in office or authority, they need to be held responsible also for turning a deaf ear to these children, because they pleaded and pleaded for everybody to give any information they possibly could. And we sat back for months and let these children tell their story. And then they tell us they've taken in consideration every reliable source. We know that's a daggum lie. Yeah. Daggum.
It was a blueprint of guilt. This is the evidence that could finally answer the question that's haunted investigators, devastated a community, and gripped a nation. What really happened to Lily and Jack Sullivan that night? Before we reveal what investigators found, drop a comment right now. Where are you watching from? Let's build this community together. When Royal Canadian Mounted Police first processed the Sullivan home on May 2nd, 2025, the day Lily and Jack were reported missing, they walked through every room with careful precision. They photographed everything, documented everything, searched for any sign of where 2 children could have gone. The second-floor bathroom got the same treatment as every other room in that house.
Did you hear that again? In the second floor bedroom. Now, I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I ain't the dumbest either. And I know for a fact that that double wide home that they got there does not have an upstairs or downstairs situation. Now, talking about a second floor, that dog won't hunt. I mean, anybody with eyes can look at that double wide and tell that, you know, it's just a one story. Now, you can buy a two-story mobile home, but they're about to quit making them because they don't hold up to weather conditions, just like a regular, you know, one level mobile home or um, a double wide. You know, they're lower to the ground. Um, so I don't know who's talking this through, but they're only giving half truths here already. Um, yeah. Uh, hey everybody, Carol. Um, I mean, that's already three different lies right there that we've done caught. Uh, let's keep listening.
Embarrassing story, but I can't pay my rent. My friend told me about how she got this $5,000 loan to pay off her bills, including rent.
Well, give her a cookie.
Officers looked around, checked the surfaces, opened cabinets, examined the space with their eyes and their standard issue flashlights. Everything looked completely normal. The bathtub was clean. A rubber duck and a few plastic boats sat in a small basket near the faucet, the kind of toys you'd find in any home with young children. 2 small toothbrushes, one pink, one blue, stood in a holder by the sink. Towels hung on the rack. A bath mat lay neatly on the floor. There was no visible evidence of struggle. No overturned furniture, no broken items. Nothing that would make an officer stop and think, something happened here. The bathroom looked exactly like what it was supposed to be.
Has anybody ever heard of mean green or bleach? Let me tell you something. I don't care how much bleach you put on blood stains. Try it yourself. Poke your finger with a needle or something. Put it in a crack of the floor, or if you got to know them, put it in one of the lines. Leave it alone. Let it dry. Let it completely dry. And turn to like hardness like a scab. Mop it, do whatever you want to do with it whenever it dries. Get you a wet Q-tip. And on that spot where you drip some blood, it'll look like nothing's there. But wet you a Q-tip and rub over that spot. And you take and put it under a black light, and I guarantee you'll see the blood stain. Not without the light. They definitely tried to do some covering up, and the granny was involved, and there's just a whole lot of people involved in this, more than just them two nut jobs. I believe his dad is in on it. I believe his mom's in on it. I believe, uh, um, well, we know that she admitted to having them to go hide the body, and then on top of that, uh, I don't. That's why I don't understand the law up there. I don't think somebody that would be under suspicion for murder would be out walking the streets unless they had a lot of money to pay for a bail. Now you can Google it up for here in the U.S. You can get as much as $2 or $3 million bonds on murder charges, and you have to pay 10% of any of that. So these tales about all of them doing this and doing that and stuff, in that mobile home is not going to be the only place that they find bloodstain. And it's not going to be any of their blood. I don't know why. Okay. They have not sentenced these people off. But if just one daggum person would not turn a deaf ear one time, just give it one time, they would start learning that these children tell their own story. And even if they're hearing the physical, if you're asking them certain questions, you have to be patient. You know, things take time.
Space where two young children brushed their teeth, took their baths, and went through their nightly routines. But 7 months later, forensic specialists returned to that same bathroom with equipment the initial responding officers didn't have.
Why not? They said they had everything they needed. They had thermal. They had canines. They had these infrared uh, goggles or whatever. You know, they're this here is telling a tale to cover their own ass, if that makes any sense. And that's just what they started doing right here, because they told everybody that they had everything that anybody could possibly have on a search team. Well, apparently not. So they're trying to get their butt out of hot water. Mm-hmm. There you go.
They came with luminol, a chemical compound that's been used in criminal investigations for decades. When luminol is sprayed on surfaces and exposed to ultraviolet light in complete darkness, it reacts with iron in hemoglobin. It creates a distinctive blue-green fluorescence that reveals what the human eye cannot see. It reveals biological evidence even after it's been scrubbed away, even after it's been diluted beyond visibility,
What did I tell
even
you?
after months have passed.
What did I
The
just
forensic
say?
team sealed the bathroom. They covered the windows to block out every trace of natural light.
Did I not just say that? And I'm telling you, try it. I am serious. If you have a black light at home, if you don't, go get you a little one somewhere, a couple of dollars. Why was this not done in the beginning? He told what his mama did. And now they want to say, well, we went back and to do it again. But you notice they didn't say nothing about Daniel or Malay or anything like that yet. That could be because they're still up in the jailhouse. I don't know. I don't know where they at. I don't give a flip. But they could have done every bit of this in the beginning, charged both of them, well, three of them for murder, and one of them for definitely for tampering with uh, a corpse, uh, and right along with numbnuts too. Um, so everything that they're saying, and the reason I'm explaining this stuff to you is because it's exactly the truth. They are trying to put out to the public that they screwed the hell up and that they're coming back and redoing the case in a better way than they did before. They just don't want to admit, and they will not come out of mouth and say we should have did this before. They don't want to look bad. Well, you already do. So yeah.
They set up their cameras and documentation equipment. Then they began spraying luminol methodically across every surface, the floor, the walls, the bathtub, the sink, the toilet. And then they turned on the ultraviolet light. The room transformed. Glowing traces appeared on the tile floor near the bathtub. More traces lit up along the side of the tub itself. The sink showed fluorescent residue, but the most significant finding was on the wall adjacent to the bathtub, a distinct pattern approximately 3 feet from the floor. 3 feet.
So I'm talking about. She physically picked him up in the kitchen like this, around his neck, took him to that bathroom and started throwing him around all over the place. And Lily was not laying in the bed when all this took place. She was in the kitchen. She seen what happened. She heard it. Could you imagine not only just how Jack is feeling from what his mama's doing, but how Lily's feeling? Wondering, okay, I'm next, I guess. But they did her, right opposite. They caught her from behind. They're going to pay for what they've done. Yeah, this is, I can't stand when people try to cover it up and not just go ahead and man up and admit it. I screwed the hell up. I should have done this. I should have done that. I'm sorry for it, but I didn't do it. And then fire the person and get in somebody new that'd be worth, or that has the know-how to go in and do a investigation. That's what a man would do. But all this, just trying to cover their butt, makes them look just as guilty as the rest of that bunch.
The exact height of a 6-year-old child, the forensic team photographed everything. They documented the size, shape, and location of every glowing trace. They took samples from each area for laboratory analysis. This wasn't a quick process. This was meticulous, painstaking work that took hours to complete properly, but they knew what they were looking at. The pattern told a story. The samples went to specialized laboratories that handle the most sensitive forensic work for law enforcement agencies across Canada. DNA analysis takes time, especially when samples have been degraded by cleaning agents designed to break down biological material. But the scientists working this case were determined to get answers. Weeks later, the results came back. The biological evidence found in multiple locations throughout that bathroom belonged to Lily Sullivan. The DNA match was confirmed through comparison with Lily's toothbrush and other personal items. There was no doubt, no margin of error. Lily had been in that bathroom. She had been injured seriously enough to leave biological evidence on multiple surfaces in different areas of the room. And then someone had cleaned it up, scrubbed it away using powerful chemical agents in a deliberate attempt to erase what had occurred. But the forensic team didn't stop with the visible surfaces. They removed the drain trap from under the bathroom sink, that curved section of pipe designed to hold water and prevent sewer gases from entering the home. It also traps material that goes down the drain, material that can't easily be flushed away. Inside that trap, they found biological material containing Lily's DNA. They also found something else, cleaning chemical residues in concentrations far higher than you'd ever see from normal bath.
So if that's the case, then they cleaned after Jack, and while strangling Lily from behind, I guess she was right, thinking that she's next. But, whoever's telling this is trying to cover their own ass. And don't make no mistake, there's Jack's blood residue in there as well. They're just not wanting to look, in simpler terms, double stupid. But Jack and Lily both were done that way. Yeah. Hey, Holler.
Bathroom cleaning. Someone had poured industrial-strength cleaning chemicals directly down that drain, not diluted, not mixed with water for regular cleaning, poured straight from the bottle in concentrations meant to break down and flush away biological evidence. The bathtub drain told the same story. More biological material, more chemical residues at concentrations that indicated a deliberate cleanup operation. The forensic team even examined the ventilation system. The bathroom had an exhaust fan in the ceiling standard in modern bathrooms to remove moisture and odors. That fan vents through ductwork that runs through the walls and ceiling before exiting outside. They removed sections of that ductwork and examined them under laboratory conditions. Inside, they found microscopic particles that had been pulled into the vent system during whatever occurred in that bathroom. Particles that were completely beyond the reach of any cleanup effort because they were trapped inside the ventilation system where no one could access them without removing the ducts entirely. More evidence, more confirmation. Based on multiple sources, electronic device data, smart home systems, and witness statements, investigators established a timeline. The incident in that bathroom occurred sometime between 8 and 10 p.m. on the evening of May 1st, 2025. The children's tablets showed their last activity around 7:30 to 8 p.m. After that, nothing. Smart home devices registered a spike in noise from the hallway near the children's rooms at approximately 9:45 p.m. And the next morning...
That was a daggum lie. These children were murdered a week prior to all this that's adding up. None of this took place on the 1st or the 2nd. They already had a week ahead to clean up, do everything they possibly can. And yeah, this is that dude that we've heard before. He just, for a long time, he'd chase tail, say the same thing. But now he's trying to cover his butt.
Since the day you were born, a guardian angel has been watching over you. He's seen your struggles, your regret.
That's a death angel.
Next morning, Daniel Martell and Malaya Brooks Murray called 911 to report that Lily and Jack had wandered into the woods and disappeared. But here's what makes this evidence absolutely devastating. If Lily was injured seriously enough to leave biological evidence in multiple locations throughout that bathroom, on the evening of May 1st, if the pattern and distribution suggested trauma significant enough to require immediate medical attention, then she could not have been alive and playing outside the next morning. She couldn't have wandered into the woods. The entire story Daniel and Malaya told was a lie. If you want every update...
How many times are we going to have to keep closing this case? You know, I mean, come on. You know, this, yes. And like I said, all he's trying to do is cover his own ass because he said a bunch of other junk. And he knows that whatever he tried to put out there, probably some stuff that they come over here and got from me and went back and crossed it all up. Well, that dog won't hunt, because I'm telling you right now, these children were murdered a week before any of this ever started. And number two, this could have been solved 3 days before these children got their lives taken. CPS came out there and left saying that they didn't see anything that was out of the ordinary. Wonder if that CPS worker still has a job or not. It was probably somebody that knew him, knew what he was doing, and it was a trade-off probably. And when he said that he was running through water, waist deep, hollering till he just couldn't holler no more. Well, it just so happened he come out of the woods same time sheriff pulled up. He wasn't wet nowhere. Said he even beat the drones out there. Everything.
As this case moves toward justice, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. Smash that like button. It helps us reach more people who care about Lily and Jack.
Not for
Now,
you. Nope.
let's talk about who these children really were. Before we go any further into the evidence, the investigation, and the lies that were told, we need to talk about who Lily and Jack Sullivan actually were, because they weren't just names in a case file. They weren't just subjects of a criminal investigation. They were real children with real personalities, real dreams, real futures that should have stretched decades ahead of them. Lily Sullivan was 6 years old. She had just finished kindergarten and was looking forward to first grade. Her teachers at the local elementary school described her as bright, creative, and genuinely kind-hearted.
And Malaya tried to say that she had a disability that she could not, talk normal or plain or nonverbal or something, they tried to say. He's a super dumbass is what he is. Man, no wonder people's blood pressure's up.
Creative and genuinely kind-hearted. She loved art, absolutely loved it. She would spend hours with crayons, markers, colored pencils, creating pictures that she'd proudly show to anyone who'd look. Her classroom walls were covered with her drawings, rainbows, flowers, her family, her little brother. She drew the world the way she saw it, colorful, hopeful, full of possibility. She was the kind of kid who volunteered to help her teachers with classroom tasks. She'd offer to help classmates who were struggling with assignments. She had that natural empathy that some children just seem to be born with, the ability to notice when someone else needed help and the genuine desire to provide it. Her teachers said she was outgoing, social, she had friends, she laughed easily. She participated enthusiastically in class activities, always raising her hand, always eager to share her thoughts. That was Lily. That was who she was supposed to be. Jack Sullivan was 4 years old. He was energetic in the way that 4-year-old boys often are, constantly moving, constantly exploring, constantly asking questions about how things work.
Yeah.
He was fascinated by trucks and construction equipment. He could identify different types of heavy machinery with impressive accuracy for a child his age. Dump trucks, excavators, bulldozers, front-end loaders. He knew them all. If there was a construction site anywhere near where the family was driving, Jack would press his face against the car window to watch the equipment work. He'd stand at the fence of construction sites for as long as adults would let him, completely mesmerized by the machines moving earth and materials. He had an infectious laugh, the kind of laugh that made everyone around him smile. People who knew Jack, his teachers at preschool, neighbors, family members, they all remember that laugh. They remember how it would echo across the playground, how it could lighten any mood. These were real children, children who brought joy to the people around them, children who deserved to grow up, go to school, make friends, have experiences, build lives. They lived with their mother, Malaya Brooks Murray, who was in her late 20s, and her partner, Daniel Martell, who was in his early 30s. The family also included a baby daughter named Meadow, who was about 1 year old at the time Lily and Jack disappeared. Daniel Martell was not Lily and Jack's biological father. Their biological father was a man named Cody Sullivan, but Cody's parental rights had been terminated through court proceedings several years earlier due to serious concerns about his fitness as a parent. He had no custody, no visitation rights, no legal connection to the children anymore. For all practical purposes, Daniel had become the only father figure Lily and Jack knew in their daily lives. The family lived on a property in Lansdowne Station, a small, rural community in Pictou County, Nova Scotia. For those unfamiliar with the geography, Pictou County is in the northern part of mainland Nova Scotia, along the Northumberland Strait. Lansdowne Station is particularly rural, with properties spread out and surrounded by dense forest and wilderness. The Sullivan property was isolated even by rural standards. The house sat on land surrounded on most sides by thick woods. Behind the property, a gate opened onto trails that led deep into the wilderness, miles and miles of forest, where even experienced hikers can get disoriented. This geographical isolation becomes critically important later. It's central to the story Daniel and Malaya told about what happened to the children. There was another person living on the property, Daniel's mother, Janie Mackenzie. She lived in a separate, smaller building on the same land. She had her own space, her own life, but she was close enough to observe activities at the main house, close enough to hear things, close enough to notice things, close enough to become a witness, though she didn't realize the significance of what she was witnessing at the time. This was the family structure. This was the setting. An isolated rural property, a blended family under significant stress, 2 young children who should have been protected, and a bathroom where something terrible happened on the night of May 1st, 2025.
Yeah.
What's the weather like where you are right now? Type it in the comments. I love hearing from you. Looking back now, with the clarity that hindsight provides, the warning signs were everywhere. They were visible to teachers, to neighbors, to anyone paying close.
I know whoever's playing this is going to watch my show, and I just want to say that you're probably one of the dumbest people I've ever heard speak. Even though you're using a voiceover, these children did none of such. They never walked into them woods. That one boot print was made by Daniel and pressed down. Only one. And that one boot was found under the couch in the trailer. When you start twisting this stuff around, It's just going to come back and bite you in the ass like it's doing right now. You lying on these children. And you not know your facts before you open your mouth. Or either you coming over here, hearing some information, taking it back and using it and twisting it up. Well, that's fixing to stop too. I'm tired of children being abused. They have done nothing to deserve any punishment of any sort. Malaya and Daniel would make these children stand out in the yard or on the porch in any type of weather in just underwear. Just for punishment, coldness, the heat, whatever. Daniel could not stand these children. And Malaya went right along with it. And you barking up the wrong tree, you keep lying about these children. I'm just telling you now. You cannot command the deceased to do anything. You can ask, but I figure you're way past that zone. And don't think for 1 minute that this can't come back and bite you in the ass, because it will. And it might not even be just children that do it. Stop lying on these children. Close your mouth, open your ears. If you're going to come over here and get whatever you can, keep your mouth shut. Listen. Tell the truth, the stuff that people want to hear. Because I'm just telling you, and I'm giving you a fair warning, you're barking up the wrong tree here.
Attention, but like so many tragedies involving children, no one connected the dots in time. Let's talk about what people saw, what they heard, what they reported, and what they didn't. At school, the teachers at Lily and Jack's school noticed things that concerned them. These weren't casual observations. These were trained educators who work with children every day and know what normal looks like and what doesn't. They saw unexplained bruises on both children, not the typical bumps and scrapes that active kids get from playing on playgrounds or climbing trees. These were bruises that didn't have good explanations. Bruises in locations that...
And that point that you've made, Annie, anybody with eyes can see exactly how many was there to start with and how many left once I started laying the line down. So good on you there. But I'm fed up with it.
Raised questions. When teachers would gently ask Lily or Jack how they got hurt, the explanations were vague, inconsistent, the kind of answers that make experienced educators pause and wonder what's really happening at home. But it wasn't just physical marks. It was behavioral changes that were equally concerning, maybe even more so. Lily had been an outgoing, engaged student. She loved participating in class. She raised her hand constantly. She played with other children during recess. She was social, happy, enthusiastic about school. But over a period of several months leading up to May 2025, teachers watched her change. She became withdrawn, quiet. She stopped raising her hand in class. She stopped playing with friends as much during recess. She'd sit by herself, drawing in her notebook, lost in her own world. Teachers recognized this pattern. They'd seen it before in children experiencing trauma or chronic stress at home. Jack showed different warning signs. He became hypervigilant, constantly on alert, constantly scanning his environment like he was waiting for something bad to happen. He'd startle easily at loud noises. He'd become anxious or fearful in situations that shouldn't provoke that kind of reaction. These are classic signs that something is very wrong in a child's home environment. One teacher became concerned enough that she took a significant step. Approximately 3 weeks before Lily and Jack disappeared, she filed a formal report with Child Protective Services. This wasn't a decision she made lightly. Teachers understand the serious implications of filing such reports, but she documented everything she'd observed, specific bruises she'd seen on Jack's arms that looked like someone had grabbed him forcefully, behavioral changes in both children that worried her professionally, her clear concern that the children might not be safe at home. She recommended that trained social workers investigate the situation immediately. But the child welfare system overwhelmed, chronically understaffed, drowning in cases across the province, didn't act quickly enough. There was no investigation launched before May 2nd, no social worker visited the home, no one intervened. 3 weeks later, Lily and Jack.
I'm going to say this one more time, and then I might blow up. I don't know. A week prior to this, before anybody knew anything, these children were not seen, period, anywhere. Zip, nada. The school admitted that they hadn't been there within the last week. School bus driver said they hadn't been there in the last week. Tried to say that one of them had a cold or something. I don't know what it was. And then somebody else said something. I don't remember. Might have been principal or something. I don't know. But anyway, the ones that would know, knowed. And why, a bus driver is going to know if they picked up a kid or not. That's their route. I mean, come on. And all this back and forth about the first and the second, they can just kiss my ass on that because that's a daggum lie. I believe the first and the second is probably when they finally decided to tell it, but not the day that they did it, because they lost their lives a week prior before the 911 call. That's right, Carol. That's right. They've been there 4 times. And every time walk away is saying everything's okay. If that's not a paid off deal, well, it's just a paid off deal.
Were gone. At home, the neighbors living near the Sullivan property heard things that, in retrospect, they deeply wish they had reported to authorities at the time. Multiple neighbors told police investigators after the children disappeared, when law enforcement was canvassing the entire area, that they'd heard what sounded like serious arguments coming from the Sullivan property on multiple occasions over several months. Some specifically remembered hearing what sounded like children crying or screaming in distress. One neighbor described hearing a child's voice screaming the word "stop" repeatedly and urgently, followed by sounds that might have been impacts, objects hitting surfaces or walls. These sounds made the neighbors uncomfortable, but like so many people in similar...
Because people are cowards. They don't want to put themselves in a situation. And I've said this before. I told it before. I was up here at the grocery store one time. I probably in my 30s or so, and I was going down the aisle, and like this little baby that was sitting in the buggy, had his little legs stuck in hanging out there, kept crying about something. And that guy told him, said, just shut up, stop that whining around. And just as I was going to reach and grab what I was going to grab off the shelf, he smacked that boy. So I just politely walked over there and slapped him across the face. Then he wanted to play victim. Well, come find out, Dennis, on the food land up here, he pulled up the footage. And that guy got took to jail house for doing it. And they didn't say a daggum word to me. And that little boy had a handprint on his face. You don't sit back just because you're scared. Now, this nut job over here, I may never help her again. Because you can't help somebody that won't help themselves. But if I've seen somebody doing something wrong to a child, I'm going to intervene. I don't give a flip what happens. And they use the excuses they just didn't want to get involved. But what if it had been one of their children? Would they not want somebody to get involved? People make me sick. That's what I'm saying. They should be held responsible for this. My daggone little toe is doing something stupid down there. Oh.
Situations, they didn't want to interfere in what they assumed was a private family matter. They convinced themselves it probably wasn't as bad as it sounded. That all families have conflicts. That it wasn't their place to get involved.
Not
now
like
they live
that,
with
they
guilt, knowing they had opportunities to potentially save these children's lives, and they didn't act. Inside the home, the stress was overwhelming and constant. Financial pressure permeated everything. Daniel worked sporadically in construction, a few weeks of intensive work, then periods of unemployment.
Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Now, Daniel worked 1 day a week at the lumber company. Remember hearing all about that? 1 day a week, But he works tirelessly now or something. No, they don't do their job. They ain't worth 15 cents. Yeah, they had bruises and all and everything. And he made a comment and said, well, it's summertime. They'll heal up before they have to go back to school. And that come out of Daniel's mouth.
Malaya worked part-time in retail, but her income was minimal. They were supporting 5 people on unpredictable, insufficient income. They were behind on rent. They had mounting debts. Money was a source of frequent, intense arguments between Daniel and Malaya, arguments that neighbors could hear through walls and windows. But investigators discovered something even more disturbing when they analyzed text messages recovered from both Daniel and Malaya's phones. Daniel had sent multiple messages to friends over several months complaining bitterly about Lily and Jack. He expressed significant resentment about having to support and care for children who weren't biologically his. He explicitly referred to them as burdens he never asked for and never wanted. In one particularly chilling message sent just 2 weeks before the children disappeared, Daniel wrote to a friend that life would be so much easier without Lily and Jack complicating everything. Malaya's messages to friends showed she felt completely overwhelmed by caring for 3 children, particularly 2 older children who required more attention, more resources, more patience than Baby Meadow. There were discussions between Daniel and Malaya about feeling trapped, about wishing things were different, about wanting to start over. Reading these messages.
Yeah, he's shaking baked. Now, all that there was a bunch of horse mess too. Now, he did not like the children. He couldn't stand them. Could not stand them. And there's actually another couple of children Uh, and it everything just fell on Jack and Lily because it's just not his kids. Hey, Pamela. And, when they're complaining and whatnot that they need a change, they need this, do that. What's the first thing going to pop into your mind that they're going to do to get that change? It don't take a rocket scientist to figure it out.
Now, knowing what happened, they
Now
take
we
on a
only have
sinister
7
tone
on.
that investigators have noted extensively in their reports. Daniel's history. Daniel Martel's past reveals a troubling pattern that should have been a massive red flag. Before his relationship with Malaya, Daniel had been involved with another woman who had a young daughter from a previous relationship. That relationship lasted about 2 years. During that time, multiple people who observed Daniel's interactions with the child described him as too rough, too harsh in his discipline methods. He lacked patience. He lacked the gentleness that young children require and deserve. There was a specific documented incident where Daniel grabbed the child forcefully enough to leave visible marks on her arm.
Need a free phone? Listen up. If you're on SNAP, Medicaid, SSI, or Section 8, you're eligible for a brand.
Daniel grabbed the child forcefully enough to leave visible marks on her arm. A daycare worker noticed the marks and, following mandatory reporting protocols, reported the incident to child welfare authorities. The case was investigated. Social workers interviewed the mother, interviewed Daniel, observed the child, but
I read that before you took it down. And I know it's a dadgum lie, the majority of it. And if you want to know who I'm listening to, is Criminal Instinct. That's who it is. Yeah, he couldn't stand them. And Cynthia, the only thing that I do is catch people in a lie, and I bring it to the light so everybody can know what's truthful and what's not. Now, I know you took your thing down real quick, or one of my mods did, and I know you've been sitting in the back listening. I was born, and it wasn't yesterday. Daniel couldn't stand them kids. He turned their own mother against them. And there's several people that's involved in the death of these children. Now, if wherever channel you're from or whatever, if you don't like what's being said here, change the channel. Because what I hear when I call out to Jack and Lily, that's what I repeat so people can hear it. And they can go back and listen to it for themselves. But you come over here and say that what I'm listening to is a lie. We know that as well. I mean, you may have been drinking some smart water today or something other and just had a wild hair up your butt for a minute. But either way, we know this. And that's what we're putting out to the public. They lie, 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 lie. Like a daggum rug. But you don't come over here and run your daggum mouth. You want to come in here, JSV? You come in here, shut your mouth, and listen.
Daniel observed the child, but ultimately, no criminal charges were filed. The investigation concluded, and the case was closed. The relationship between Daniel and that woman ended shortly after this incident, but the pattern was established in official records. This was someone who had a documented history of difficulty controlling his temper around children who weren't biologically his, someone who used excessive force, someone who crossed boundaries that should never be crossed with children. Malaya's history. Malaya Brooks Murray also had a concerning history as a parent. Approximately 2 years before Lily and Jack disappeared, she had temporarily lost custody of both children. This is a significant event that speaks to serious concerns about her parenting. The children were removed from her care by child welfare authorities and placed with Malaya's mother for a period of several months, while Malaya was required to address issues that made authorities question her ability to care for the mother, children, properly. The specific reasons for this loss of custody are sealed in court records, as is typical in child welfare cases, to protect family privacy. But family members indicated in interviews with investigators that concerns were raised about multiple aspects of Malaya's parenting. Her ability to meet the children's basic needs, her mental and emotional stability, questions about whether she was providing adequate supervision.
Yeah, she got
She eventually
adopted
regained
out.
custody after completing whatever requirements the court had imposed, possibly counseling.
Lav, man, it cold. Lav, man, it cold. Thanks. If you like my content, hit the subscribe button. Be greatly appreciated. But if you don't like my content, don't have to. Yes, Lynn, you're correct. We're fixing to change a lot of this here for you guys to be able to do a lot more. Um, y'all are going to be able to work through everything that I can even do here, and then some things that YouTube has gave me, um, and I will let you guys check all that out. And if y'all want to use that, then I can click on it and click your name, and you guys can do more and more stuff. I asked somebody from one of them other people or channels or, that old gay feller thing, and or somebody that's friends with them two nut jobs up there or something. Tonight is about children. 2 children that got mistreated. You did? Thank you. Because last night another person jumped off. Yeah, go figure that. So it was down to 2,618. So with this subscribe, it'll be back up to 19. So
She eventually.
I'm just going to tell every daggum don't come to my daggum show and run your daggum mouth. If you come to my show, no matter what I'm doing, especially when it comes to children, show respect, close your mouth, open your ears, and listen to these children tell their own story. And whoever that was that come in, of course we know there's a bunch of daggone lies. But that's what we catch them in. You know, that's what we do here. You know, we separate fiction from, nonfiction. And we listen and let these children tell their own stories. They won't come over here and tell me everything that we're saying is a lie. We ain't the ones saying it, dumbass. I just told you. Criminal instinct is the one saying this crap. Some people just don't know when to shut the hell up.
Gained custody after completing whatever requirements the court had imposed, possibly counseling, parenting classes, addressing mental health issues, or other interventions. But family members privately expressed doubts about whether she was truly ready to handle the constant demands of parenting two young, energetic children who required consistent attention and care. The pattern: every single adult who could have saved these children, teachers who saw the bruises and behavioral changes, neighbors who heard the screaming, the child welfare system that received reports but didn't act fast enough, had a piece of the puzzle. But no one put it together in time. The system failed Lily and Jack in every possible way, and two children who desperately needed protection didn't get it when they needed it most. And then came May 1st, 2025, the last day anyone outside that house saw Lily and Jack alive. May 1st, 2025, 2:25 p.m. Security cameras at a Dollarama store in Pictou County captured footage that would become critically important to this investigation.
No.
Dollarama is a discount retail chain found throughout Canada, the kind of store where families shop for everyday items, household goods, snacks, toys. The footage shows all 5 members of the Sullivan family walking through the store together. Malaya pushes a shopping cart with baby Meadow secured in the seat. Daniel walks alongside her, and Lily and Jack move through the aisles, looking at items on shelves, exhibiting completely normal childhood behavior and curiosity.
That's the other children.
Investigators have reviewed this footage except
that is the other children. The other two. That was not Jack and Lily. They trying to claim it because they want to stick with the first and the second so much, but it don't make a damn what they say. I mean, the people that have validated this being a week prior to the 911 call are people that, yes, they did. Yes, they did. It's people that's credible. Bus drivers, teachers, principal, all these things. And then, when they did go to school, okay, like they said, they was questioned about the bruises and all this and whatnot. And I don't know what kind of stories that Jack and Lily told them. I'm sure that they tried to tell them something so they wouldn't call the parents and get them in trouble, because then they know they would get something worse than what they already got. So either way, these babies were fighting a losing battle. Yeah, it's about ignorant.
Frame by frame, multiple times, looking for anything unusual, anything concerning, any sign that something was already wrong. But there's nothing. The children appear healthy, normal, unharmed. They look like any other kids on any other shopping trip with their family on a Thursday afternoon. Lily picks up a package of markers and shows it to Malaya. Jack points at something on a shelf and tugs on Daniel's sleeve. Ordinary moments, mundane moments. The kind of moments that happen in families every single day across the country. This security footage represents the absolute last time anyone outside the immediate family can verify with certainty and independent documentation that Lily and Jack Sullivan were alive and well. After that shopping trip concluded, the family left the store and drove back to their property in Lansdowne Station. Based on the distance and typical drive time, they would have arrived home sometime around 3 or 4 p.m. And from that point forward, from approximately 3 or 4 p.m. on May 1st until the 911 emergency call at 10:01 a.m. on May 2nd, only 2 people claimed to have seen Lily and Jack alive: Daniel Martell and Malaya Brooks Murray. That's it. No other witnesses, no independent verification, no one who can corroborate their account of what happened during those critical 18 to 19 hours. This creates what investigators call a significant,
except that she had Daniel and Logan to put the body in a sleeping bag and go and hide it somewhere. And then they've done the same thing with Lily. So that's where a lot of time was lost. But I don't understand how they don't let it sink in that they already had a week ahead of time to cover tracks, to throw everything off haywire, And yes, the system failed. Child Protective Services ain't worth 15 cents. They're just as much responsible for these children's deaths as the ones that did it. They had 4 chances that they've been out there to take them kids away. And yeah, I think people like that should be accountable for not seeing the dangers and things that's going on. If the school can see all the bruises and the carrying on and whatnot, so should Child Protective Services. I mean, that really don't add up, does it?
evidentiary gap, a window of time where we have to rely entirely and exclusively on the word of 2 people who are now the primary suspects in the children's disappearance and presumed deaths. 2 people who have every reason to lie about what actually occurred. So what's their story? What do Daniel and Malaya claim happened during those hours? According to the account they've provided to police, to media, to anyone who's asked, and they've maintained this story consistently since the very beginning, the evening of May 1st was completely normal, routine, unremarkable in every way. They say the children had dinner with the family, nothing special, just a regular weeknight meal. After dinner, Lily and Jack played for a while, as children typically do in the evening hours. Then they went through their bedtime routine, brushing teeth, changing into pajamas, the usual activities. Daniel and Malaya claim the children went to bed at their normal bedtime, which they say was around 9 or 9:30 p.m. They say they tucked the kids in, said goodnight, and closed the bedroom doors. Then Daniel and Malaya went to bed themselves shortly after, with baby Meadow sleeping in a crib in their bedroom, as was their routine. Nothing unusual, nothing concerning, just another ordinary evening in a family home. The next morning, May 2nd, they claim Lily and Jack woke up at their normal time. The children came downstairs, had breakfast, and then asked if they could go outside to play in the backyard. Daniel and Malaya say they told the children yes, they could play outside. It was part of the regular morning routine. The weather was decent. The kids liked being outdoors, nothing unusual about it. So Lily and Jack went outside to play while Daniel and Malaya remained inside the house with baby Meadow, doing normal morning activities, getting dressed, cleaning up from breakfast, taking care of the baby. They claim they could hear the children playing outside through open windows, sounds that reassured them everything was fine and normal. The sounds of children being children running around, talking to each other, playing whatever games 4-year-olds and 6-year-olds play. But then, according to their account, it went quiet outside. That silence is what made them check on the children, they say. When you have kids playing outside and it suddenly goes quiet, that's when you wonder what they're getting into. That's when you go look. Daniel and Malaya say they went outside to see why it was quiet, and Lily and Jack were nowhere to be found, completely vanished. The back gate, the one that led to the wilderness trails behind the property, was standing open. They claim they searched the immediate area around the house. They called the children's names. They looked in the outbuildings. They checked all the places kids might hide or wander to. Nothing. No sign of them anywhere. That's when they made the decision to call 911. The call came in at exactly 10:01 a.m. on May 2nd, 2025. On that call, which has been released to the public and analyzed extensively, Malaya sounds frantic, panicked. She tells the dispatcher that her children are missing, that they must have wandered through the back gate into the woods, that they need help finding them immediately. The dispatcher asks standard questions. How old are the children? What were they wearing? When did you last see them? How long have they been missing? Malaya provides answers. She sounds like a terrified mother whose children have disappeared. She's crying. Her voice is shaking. She sounds genuinely distressed. And based on that call, a massive search operation was launched. RCMP officers, search and rescue teams, volunteers from the community, helicopters with thermal imaging equipment, search dogs, hundreds of people combing through miles and miles of dense wilderness looking for two small children. That search continued for days, then weeks, expanding outward from the property in ever-widening circles, covering terrain that was rough, challenging, dangerous, even for experienced searchers. They never found Lily and Jack. But here's the problem with Daniel and Malaya's story. Here's why investigators don't believe a single word of it. The bathroom evidence proves that Lily was seriously injured on the evening of May 1st. The biological evidence found in multiple locations throughout that bathroom on the floor.
So I guess when they were seen at the store, I guess somehow or another they just magically got washed, and there's no blood marks on them and no cuts and bruises and all this footage from the store. A lot of people are not taking into consideration the dates that they are talking about. And if that would have been the case, like I said, there'd been just dripping blood all over the place in the store. So that dog won't hunt. And like I said, these children got murdered a week before the 911 call come in. Now, there was footage of her and Daniel in a store, but it was not Jack and Lily in the store. I sure wish it would have been, but everything that's been shown from that CCTV cam has been photoshopped and now edited through AI. And a lot of people were convinced that that was Jack and Lily. But if you listen to the statement that's brought to everybody's attention, they would have been bleeding profusely and probably wouldn't even made it to the store, let alone to walk around and pull things off the shelf. Now, I know, like I said, I know a lot of people want to believe that. I would even love to believe it. But with the injuries that they sustained and the blood loss that they carried on, it just can't be them in the store. And it's sad because we all want it to be true. Who wouldn't want to see these children doing well and been at the store and trying to throw stuff in the buggy? I mean, of course. But they can't do two things at once. They can't be beat to death, okay, and then, come back to life and go to the store with them. See what I'm talking about? I'm going to tell you an example of a buddy of mine who went to school with me. His name was Timmy, and he's up there at Free Home Cemetery. You've seen me call out to him a lot of time. Well, he was parked down in front of a barn that was right behind my house. And they claimed that he had shot himself with a 9mm. Well, come find out that 9mm pistol was sitting on a bale of hay in the barn. So I guess he shot himself, blew his brains out, and hurried and run and threw his gun on the hay bale and come back and closed the door and died. So maybe that's what happened. The day that they claimed that was seen, love, at the stores, even a CC camera that was angled in that direction from another building. They can't be two places at the same time. You see what I'm saying? Because the time that they said that they were seen is the time that they said that these children were murdered. And they just got through explaining a few minutes ago that they seen blood splatter all through the bathroom, up the ceiling, and around everything. Now, there's no way that can happen, and then they take them kids to the store and everything be just all fine. It don't work like that. Everything that has been seen on footage has been edited. Now you can look at things and you can see this edited with AI to try to make people think different. Just think of it this way. If you stuck a knife inside your neck and pulled it out and it went deep, and you get in the car and you drive to Walmart to look for a shirt you might want, does that make any sense? Are you going to bleed out before you get there? Are you going to bleed out about the minute you find your shirt that you like? Would you be dripping blood all over the floor? It don't make sense. Nothing they have said, nothing that has been shown has any credibility to it. And again, yes, people want to believe. Heck, I would love to have believed. But it just didn't happen that way. Well, I got some sessions with Jack and Lily, and they tell their story in detail. Jack was done that way first in the bathroom, picked up by his throat and threw around in the bathroom. Then Lily was in the kitchen with a couple of the other guys, and they put a string around her neck and they took her to the bathroom as well. Then the neighbors say that they heard a clashing and a banging and a crying and the kids hollering, but they didn't want nothing to do with it. You know, they thought it was just a family affair problem. I hear a kid holler, I'm gonna go find out what the hell's going on. So people can act ignorant all they want to. And if people will watch these shows, these lives and sessions that I've done with Jack and Lily, all it takes is put you some headphones on, sit back and listen. And they'll tell you everything that happened. And that's why I don't go off of what other people say. I'll listen to it. I'll call them out on their lives when I catch it. But I'm going to take the word of a child over anybody. And if you just have patience, they'll tell you their own story that actually makes sense.
Bathroom on the floor, on the tub, on the sink, on the wall 3 feet from the ground, tells us that something significant happened to her that night. The pattern and distribution of that evidence, according to forensic analysts who examined it, suggests trauma serious enough to require immediate medical attention. If Lily was injured
Now, they had to take time to go to the store. You know, see what I'm saying? See how dumb that sounds? She had traumatic wounds, but they'd set that to the side. They need to go to the store first. See what I'm saying? It's just ignorant.
extensively on the evening of May 1st, she could not have been alive and playing outside the next morning. She couldn't have woken up normally, had breakfast, and gone outside.
He even told on his own ass right there. They couldn't have even been outside playing at that date because that's the day that they died. You see what I'm talking about? Malaya is the one that did it. Malaya is the one that did that. She picked Jack up by the throat, took him in the bathroom, threw him around, and they put one of them strings around Lily's neck, pulled it tight, and then she come got her and took her to the bathroom. And they used the excuse for Jack, said that he fell down the stairs as she was going down to wash some clothes, and that Lily was in the bedroom. I don't remember if they said she was awake or listening or what. But all that come crashing through because Logan told that they both got done the same way in the same room, and that was the bathroom. And they did it that way so it'd be a tile floor. They thought they could clean it up good enough. Yeah, I'm going to take the kids' words over anybody, period. And, Malaya she even told law enforcement that she did have uh, Daniel and Logan to move the bodies, you know, and she admitted to it. So uh, she admitted to murder. She admitted that they committed a crime by tampering with uh, a corpse. That's that's frowned upon in most states. Like I said, I don't know how stupid Canada is, but apparently pretty bad. But nothing they're saying is adding up, because the day that they say that this stuff they was here and doing that stuff, they was already dead. Okay. So yeah, that's how that went. And yeah, Daniel egged it on.
To play, the story doesn't work. The timeline doesn't work. The evidence contradicts every single element of their account, and there's more evidence that supports this conclusion. Smart home device data recovered from the Sullivan house shows a spike in noise from the hallway near the children's rooms at approximately 9:45 p.m. on May 1st. This data comes from devices like smart...
He just helped Daniel carry it out, you know. And numb nuts, you know, he drove them around there, and they walked up in the woods and put him him in a certain spot. And then when it was well, that's what I'd like to know too. And then whenever they did Lilly that way, uh, you know, then they done the same course. But what they did is they dropped Malaya off, and she was walking back and forth a little bit, waiting for them to get done on the side of the road. And someone seen Malaya walking up and down the side of the road. Well, they come back and got her, and they sat down and discussed what they was going to use as a plan to tell of what happened. And that's when they come up with a scheme that he fell down the stairs and it killed him because I reckon it broke his neck. And then for Lily, I I don't know. I have no idea. They never have passed the anything from far as the bathroom. That's been for both. So it's just like she had to wait her turn. And why is she not in jail after admitting? You tell me. I mean, I don't know what the deal is up there in Canada. I don't know the laws up there in Canada. But down here, you'd be in the jailhouse, period. And if you got a bond on murder down here, like I said, it'd be in the millions of dollars. Then make sure that you stay till your hearing. Yeah, yes, yeah, You're right. It's illegal to handle a corpse, you know, anywhere. You're 100% right. Uh, Dia 56, hello and welcome. Uh, if you Dia 56, that's pretty. Uh, Dia, uh, if you like it here at JSV and you like this kind of content, I mean, this ain't the only thing we ever do. We do some stupid stuff too, but challenges and things such that. Uh, But if you like what you see, feel free to subscribe. It's totally free. Uh, we'd like to have you and Laverne and uh, to be part of JSV here. We're growing a good, nice, strong family here. We or I do sessions for people a lot of times, let them hear from loved ones, and uh, we do family vlogs and just all kind of stuff. You live in next province to Nova Scotia. Like I said, I don't know how the law works up there. All I know is how it works here in the U.S. Um, and the bond would be set so high that you couldn't pay it. Um, but even the sheriff, the chief up there, uh, showed the clip of her just sitting down, being calm and cool, and then when she started talking, she was getting nervous, and she admitted to having them move the bodies. Now, is she out walking around and doing whatever? I don't know. I have no idea. Uh, but if this happened down here, she would already be rotten in prison. And when it comes to a child, even in a woman's prison down here, they would kill her. She wouldn't last long. Same way for a guy. You hurt a child or something such as that down here, they'll kill you. They try to get it done within the first 2 months you're there. They call it a 60-day living trial. They'll catch you in the shower or somewhere or something, or get a guard to leave your cell door unlocked where they can get in there to you. Um, so I don't know about up there. I just have no idea. Yeah, these babies, they're they don't. Good night, Kathy. Thanks for being here, love. Uh, yeah. Uh, I can't stand the thoughts of it.
May 1st. This data comes from devices like smart speakers or home assistants that are constantly monitoring for wake words, and in the process, they register ambient noise levels. That spike at 9:45 p.m.
They're at peace
suggests
now.
something loud happened in that hallway, something that registered as significantly above normal background noise. What was that noise? What caused it? Daniel and Malaya claim the children were peacefully asleep by that time, but the data suggests otherwise. The children's tablets tell another part of the story. Lily and Jack both had tablets they used for games and videos, the kind of screen time that's become standard for kids their age. Those tablets show activity until approximately 7:30 to 8 p.m. on May 1st. Games being played, videos being watched, normal evening activity, and then nothing. No activity after 8 p.m. The tablets went dark and stayed dark. If the children were alive and well through the evening and into the next morning, as Daniel and Malaya claim, why did their tablets show no activity after 8 p.m.? Why didn't they use them the next morning before going outside to play? Children that age are attached to their devices.
So
They use them constantly. The sudden cessation of all activity suggests something happened that prevented them from continuing their normal routines. Every piece of evidence, the bathroom forensics, the smart home.
No, if she gets sent to prison, somebody's going to kill her. That's just a fact. Um, they'll consider her weak, and um, most people, it's rated that 90% of female inmates is top rated for grand theft and murder. Uh, a lot of women try to use it as self defense, but that's getting where that's not going to hold up anymore either nowadays. So they get them for capital murder, murder one, uh, just different things. But when it comes to a child, and people get wind of it, uh, and every prison has someone that has earned the right to, get out of their cells, mop, sweep, help clean up the place, and they get told what the person got put in for, and then they go and spread the word. Huh?
It was 3 years. Right?
What was 3 years? Huh? I don't know. I don't know.
I want to say 3 or 4.
Oh, 4. Yeah, 4.
But yeah, you can remember that one, but not
Yeah.
me.
Well, I just remember what you're talking about now. But yeah, that she wouldn't make it, and she knows she won't. But if she's out running around, I kind of highly doubt it. And even Daniel, I mean, they even had some of her remains, AMZ, under the grandma's camper. It's just a gruesome nonsense junk. They they don't take kindly to that. I'm sure it was over a dope deal. They blew up, they got mad, they got angry. He didn't like the kids. He's done turned her over to go against their own children, and one thing led to another, and they had a big fight, and then hey Donna, and then the kids ended up taking the wrath of all this, so and that's usually the way it works out.
Every piece of evidence, the bathroom forensics, the smart home data, the tablet activity, the timeline points to the same conclusion. Something happened to Lily and Jack on the evening of May 1st. Something that occurred inside that house. Something that left biological evidence in the bathroom. Something that ended their lives. And everything that came after.
Now, wait a minute. Now, see, he's told 2 different tales right here. So there was that store getting some stuff, But now, how could that be? Because they, on the first and second, was in there cleaning up the blood and everything. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy.
The 911 call, the frantic search, the media appearances where Daniel and Malaya pleaded for their children's safe return, all of it was an elaborate, carefully constructed lie designed to cover up what really happened. What time is it where you're watching this? Drop it in the comments. And if you think this evidence is as damning as I do, share this video with someone who's been following this case. Now, let's break down the cleanup operation. The bathroom evidence doesn't just tell us what happened to Lily. It tells us something equally important, what Daniel and Malaya did afterward. Because that bathroom didn't clean itself. Those biological traces didn't scrub themselves away. Those industrial strength chemicals didn't pour themselves down the drains. Someone conducted a deliberate, methodical cleanup operation designed to erase evidence of what occurred in that room.
Best value and power. Predator. Power through anything. Only at Harbor Freight.
Yeah, no.
Now that's a pizza that looks like it knows it's the favorite. And it's just $9.99 when you mix and match.
He
Evidence of that cleanup is almost as damning as the
he
evidence
just
of the
jumping
incident
back and
itself.
forth,
Let's start
up
with
and
the
down all the way
chemicals.
around.
Investigators discovered that Malaya Brooks Murray had purchased industrial-strength cleaning products online in the days before May 2nd. Not on May 2nd, after the children supposedly disappeared. Not in a panic after something unexpected happened, days before. These weren't
On the 2nd, but not on the 2nd. Did you hear that? On the 2nd, but not the 2nd.
products you'd find under the average person's kitchen sink. These weren't the standard household cleaners you pick up at the grocery store for wiping down counters or mopping floors. These were specialized, industrial-grade products designed specifically to break down biological material. The kind of products used in medical facilities, crime scene cleanup companies, or industrial settings where powerful cleaning is required. Malaya researched these products. She found them online. She ordered them. She had them delivered to the property. Why would someone order industrial-strength biological cleaning products days before their children supposedly wandered into the woods and disappeared? That question answers itself. When forensic technicians analyzed the drain traps from the bathroom sink and bathtub, they found residues of these exact chemicals, the same products Malaya had ordered online, in concentrations far beyond what you'd ever see from normal household cleaning. We're not talking about someone using diluted cleaner to wipe down a sink or scrub a tub. We're talking about concentrated chemicals poured directly down drains at strengths meant to break down and dissolve biological material. The concentrations detected were consistent with someone pouring the product straight from the bottle, undiluted, in an attempt to flush away evidence. But the chemicals were just one component of the cleanup operation. Forensic analysis revealed that someone had scrubbed biological evidence from multiple surfaces throughout that bathroom: the floor near the bathtub, the side of the tub itself, the bathroom sink, the wall adjacent to the tub. All of these surfaces showed luminol reaction, that blue-green fluorescence that indicates biological material was present. But to the naked eye, these surfaces appeared completely clean, spotless. That level of cleaning doesn't happen by accident. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes deliberate, sustained work to remove biological evidence to the point where it's invisible to the naked eye. Investigators found additional evidence of this scrubbing operation: fibers from cleaning cloths trapped in small crevices and gaps around the sink and bathtub. These are tiny spaces, the kind of places where fibers can become lodged during vigorous cleaning and remain even after the cloths themselves have been removed and disposed of far from the property. Laboratory analysis of these recovered fibers showed they contained traces of Lily's DNA and significant residues of the industrial cleaning chemicals. Someone used cloths saturated with those powerful chemicals to wipe up biological evidence. They scrubbed surfaces thoroughly. They used the chemicals to help.
And that's where people are confusing how the children passed. They had this whole week to clean the surfaces. Okay. Probably, I'd say probably 2.5 days, they were trying to clean up Jack's blood. Then, and using straight up chemicals. And then when they did what they did to Lily, they thought, well, we'll do the same thing. But where it's going to come out in the wash is what was caught in the drain, uh, in that bowl under there. All that's going to be stuck on there, and all it's going to take is a cotton swab, and they'll know the whole 9 yards. I mean, they need to wise up a little bit, you know.
You can move.
Thank you, baby girl.
You're welcome.
Love you.
Love you. Anything else you need me before I go do it?
No.
Alright.
Make a good one.
Always.
She's gonna go play TikTok.
Thoroughly. They use the chemicals to help break down and remove the material, and then they
Their dogs wouldn't even go to the bathroom. Now they'd go out in the woods and everywhere else, but they wouldn't go no further than the bathroom in that home. And the stench of them chemicals would have demolished any normal sense of smell to them animals, and they know that that was a danger zone. People didn't understand why they wouldn't go past a certain spot. Well, you know, dogs are smart. They know if they lose their scent of smell, that they would lose their way. And they turn and move for fear. But they just hadn't been anybody taught to understand how search dogs, or cadaver dogs, or whatever, works. You know, like I used to have a blue tick hound, and he could treat near about anything, but he learned the hard way when he tried to round up a skunk one time, and we had to give him a tomato juice bath. If they get in contact with such smells, and a dog any animal uses their smell to trigger their mind. If you had a puppy or a dog and you were gone for a month or two and you came back, they would use their smell to recognize who you are, not by sight, by smell. Then they go crazy and love all over you. Animals know their limits. And when they turn back, you best not try to force them, because if you do, your dog ain't no count no more. And that's horrible, horrible treatment for animals to be put in that position in the first place. So, I mean, that was twice that they brought dogs in, and the other dogs did the same thing. That should have been red flags right there. So now, again, covering their own ass, they went in with a light and some spray that will illuminate blood. Which, like I said, they could have did this in the beginning, and we wouldn't be having all this right now. No, rain will not take away smell for animals. Well, I mean, odors like that, can linger in a place for a long time. Yeah. It's just crazy.
Thoroughly. They used the chemicals to help break down and remove the material, and then they disposed of those cloths somewhere away from the property where investigators couldn't recover them. But microscopic fibers remained behind, trapped in crevices too small to clean effectively, providing evidence of the cleanup operation and its clear purpose. The drains tell their own story. When forensic technicians removed the drain traps, those curved sections of pipe under sinks and tubs that hold water and trap material, they found biological material containing Lily's DNA that had accumulated in the curves where it couldn't be easily flushed away. They also found those industrial chemical residues at concentrations that...
And don't forget about Lily's bloody panties that were found between their home and the edge of the woods. Don't forget about that part. Because that's going to play a big factor in this deal when the wash comes out finally. Just keep that in mind. Yeah. Well, we love you too, honey.
Away. They also found those industrial chemical residues at concentrations that indicate someone poured significant amounts of undiluted cleaning products directly into the drains. Why would someone do that? What's the purpose of pouring industrial chemicals down a drain? To flush away biological evidence, to break down material that had gone down that drain, to eliminate traces of what happened. The bathtub drain showed the same pattern: biological material with Lily's DNA, chemical residues at concentrations far beyond normal cleaning use. Someone had used that tub as part of the cleanup, water running, chemicals poured, evidence being washed away, or so they thought. But here's what Daniel and Malaya didn't account for. Modern forensic science is incredibly sophisticated. Biological evidence can be detected even after extensive cleaning. DNA can be recovered from microscopic traces. Chemical residues leave signatures that reveal exactly what products were used and in what concentrations. You can't completely erase what happened, not when forensic specialists know what to look for and have the tools to find it. The ventilation system provided yet another source of preserved evidence that
they claim that we're going to have some sleet and some ice that rained out earlier. And they're talking about some hazardous travel, which we ain't got to go nowhere but just take her up to work and back. But when we pull out up here at the stop sign, it's on a hill. So if my truck slides any least little bit, she's not going to work. I'm not going to chance pulling out right there and be spinning and a car come flying over top of that hill. I'm just not going to do it. Well, it come back that it was Lily's. They finally, after about 5 months worth, said that it was indeed Lily's blood. Exactly, Laverne. That's exactly. They he took her blanket out, tore off a piece of it so he could use it later. Put pieces of it in trees and this and that and other, and then they found a boot print. Well, that boot print, that muddy boot print of hers, was found under the couch in the living room in that home. They found the bloodstained panties between the house and the edge of the woods. Okay, and then months later, all right, they found remains under the grandma's camper, and they put no, they about ignorant. They had Jack wrapped up in a sheet and put in a sleeping bag and took him up in the woods. And Numbnuts is the one drove him up there, whatever his name is. So everything that has been told is false. Now, Numbnuts, I forget his name, but anyhow, you're supposed to get down to about 19 here in the morning. And then in a couple of days, it's going to be the high is just like 19, and low 7, and 1 or 2 nights low 6. But now, don't take it out of context. Not everything that was said is wrong. But right now, temperature's -17. Good Lord. Now, his dad, he had a big play in this as well. And there was a key point. And if people go back and watch my sessions with Jack and Lily, she plainly states that they all sat down and come to an agreement of what to do. You can hear it plain as day. Don't even really need earbuds to hear it. And that was his mama, him, Malaya's mom, Logan, and Numbnuts. I forget his name, but anyway, they sat down and figured out what to do and what to say. Well, they took her blanket out there, and then next time they found the panties, and then the next time they found the backpack in the garbage can, and then they found a corner of her blanket at the edge of the woods, and then they found some other things, and then on top of that, they were seen by authorities taking the kids' stuff out of the house and burning it. So, they've dug themselves a hole. Okay. All they need to do now is just cover themselves up. Because as you're going, I like that. I like that camo. So, yeah, I mean, there's bits and pieces of the truth. But that's why when it comes to me doing sessions for these children and whatnot, I only listen to what these children say. And I will continue to ask the same question over and over and over and over and over until I get a direct answer so I know who I'm dealing with. And then once I do that and I make that rapport, then it just starts flooding in. They start telling everything they know. We even learned that they made the kids stand outside in their underwear in the winter, summer, whatever, before they even told on a clip that that's one of their punishments. So, oh my goodness. So, most definitely we can find out more and faster through the deceased than we can the living at any given time. That's just the way it works. It's like this here. Don't believe nothing you hear, and only half of what you see, and then you might come out all right on top. people want me to go off of what this person said or that person said about this and that. And that. I don't do that. I don't do it. I don't watch other YouTubers that try to do anything paranormal wise with anybody. I don't watch that stuff. The only thing that I ever watch is like a clip of something that's being told where I can tell where if it's alive, if it ain't, and get that out there to the public. And over the last 7 months, they ain't needed no help to make themselves look stupid. They did that all on their own. Tennessee is. Goodness. Yeah, your birthday gonna stay warm.
Have the tools to find it. The ventilation system provided yet another source of preserved evidence that the cleanup operation couldn't reach. The bathroom had a standard exhaust fan mounted in the ceiling, the kind found in virtually all modern bathrooms to remove moisture and odors.
Laverne, if you know other women that might like this sort of thing, mention it to them. Say, check out John's Southern Vlogs. Tell them kind of what we do, and I'll tell you everything we do. We do drawings, we do questionnaires, we do family vlogs, we do ride along videos, we do challenges, all sorts of stuff. And sometimes Christina can talk me into doing one of them old ignorant, like gum sour challenge things that'll lock your mouth up. But we never know how it's going to go here. We may start out thinking, okay, we're going to get serious here, and then next thing you know, it turns out to be a daggum comedy show. You just never know. So if you like this here and like the people here, and you will not find better people on social media than these right here. I don't care where you go. I don't care who you watch. You will not find a better group of people than my JSV films right here. They're loyal, they're honest, and they're good people. They got my back and I got theirs. And when they come here, they know they loved here. Because I make dadgum sure that I let them know. Actions speak louder than words. That reminds me. Now it's going to be yeah, 39. Woo-wee. That reminds me. Kayla has got a sweat outfit, a sweatshirt and sweatpants, and I don't doubt it. There, I used to live up there for a while. Everybody throw out a prayer for Judy and her family. Bless you, love. I'm gonna get that from her, and the building that she had that where she made all my merch and everything, and even tumblers like this here, and we had some different color ones and everything else. T-shirts, leggings, joggers, sweatpants, stuff like that. Thank y'all for that. She needs it. Uh, anyway, after the third, I'm going to put my logo on it. It will be one running down the left side of the leg, and then one here above the chest right here on the left hand side. So what I'm aiming to do, we may do a drawing for it, or we may do a questionnaire for it. So either way, we're gonna have something fun to do. And I know everybody likes to participate when we can do something like that. Um, Especially right now, anybody can use a good set of uh, sweatpants and sweatshirt. Um, and a lot of people love them leggings too. Yeah, many prayers that y'all can get out to her. She needs it.
In virtually all modern bathrooms to remove
But
moisture
yes,
and odors.
if you like this content, well, hit the subscribe button. It's totally free. Tell your friends and family about it. And that's why you'll see 98% of my fan base is female. They love being here to learn about the paranormal and everything else we do.
Fan vents through metal ductwork that runs through walls and ceiling spaces before exiting outside. During whatever occurred in that bathroom, that fan was likely running, and as it ran, it pulled air through the system, air that contained microscopic particles. Those particles were drawn into the ductwork and deposited on the interior surfaces of the ducts, completely beyond the reach of any cleanup effort because they were inside the ventilation system in areas that can't be accessed without removing sections of ductwork entirely. Forensic technicians made the decision to do exactly that. They removed sections of the ductwork and examined them under controlled laboratory conditions. Inside, they found microscopic particles that had been pulled into the vent system, particles that provided additional scientific confirmation that significant events involving biological material had occurred in that bathroom. This evidence was preserved in a place Daniel and Malaya never thought to clean, never could have cleaned even if they'd thought of it. And then there's the witness testimony that corroborates the physical evidence. Janie Mackenzie, Daniel's mother, who lived in a separate building on the same property, initially told investigators she went to bed early on the night of May 1st and heard nothing unusual. But under repeated, careful questioning over subsequent months, as investigators pressed her to think carefully and remember every possible detail, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant.
That's a daggum lie. Every one of that bunch was up on meth all the daggum time. Now, they would stay up 3 or 4 days in a row, and then they would crash for a couple of days. They can't play that off with me. I don't play that. I know what it does, and I'm not proud of it. And let me tell you something. You don't think correctly when you're on that type of drug. After your second day, you start getting delirious. When you do lay down to go to sleep, you're going to crash out. So there's no way that they could tell the truth and say that the kids asked if they could go outside and play. And then the grandma say that they seen the kids outside playing, but Malaya and Daniel wouldn't know who were around. Well, that's because they was probably crashed out. They even went as stupid as saying, that a bear could have come in that sliding glass door and took the children. And it's true. Go back and watch them all. It says that. I mean, that's just how stupid they are. Okay. So they need to put them in
Her memory
jailhouse.
evolved. She
and
eventually
throw away the
recalled,
key.
after extensive prompting by experienced investigators, that she had heard water running from the main house late that evening, significantly later than would be normal for children's bedtime bath routines. She specifically remembered the water running for an extended period, unusually long, far longer than a typical bath or shower would require. At the time, she didn't think anything of it. People use water for many innocent reasons. It didn't strike her as particularly unusual or worth investigating or even worth remembering initially. But in retrospect, with the knowledge of what forensic analysis has revealed, that extended water running takes on significant new meaning. The extended water running could very well have been the cleanup operation in progress. Water being used repeatedly and extensively to rinse biological evidence from multiple surfaces, to flush material down drains, to eliminate all traces of what had occurred. The timeline fits. The physical evidence fits. The witness testimony fits.
Yep.
All of it points to the same conclusion. A deliberate, sustained cleanup operation conducted on the...
Well, see, what had happened was the reason all this finally got brought out to the light is because of Logan. It weighed in on him so much and was just driving him nuts. And he went himself to the police station and reported what happened. And I think once he did that, there's no way that they could just let somebody come in and say that kind of crap and just walk away. Right after that, that's when they come and got Malaya. Malaya sat down and told a story that he fell down the stairs and killed him that way. And what she had done was had Daniel and Logan to go hide the body. So these tales about them out running around and doing all this and that, I just can't seem to believe that. Now I know Canada's pretty screwed up law wise, but surely to God, not to that extent. And then finally, even Daniel admitted that he could take them right to where uh, uh, Jack was. And they asked, where is Lily? And at one point in time, she was right there pretty close to where Jack was. Well, time went on by, and there was a hiker walking up that trail, and he seen a skull. And come find out that it was Jack's skull. And it looked like the sleeping bag had been torn into. So I'm figuring animal, And anyway, some of the rest of the stuff, was inside the sleeping bag. And then, throughout the months, I guess that's why they use lime, because it'll kill the odor of decay. And Lily's remains was under Grandma's camper for a very long time. And right before authorities came, they took them remains out, but they made a mistake. They left one, just one. And if they did what I'm thinking they did with that bone, it should have bone marrow in it. And they can get DNA from that bone marrow. And that would tie it all together, you see. So I don't think that everything's just going perfect right for them. And being free and all this and stuff. Mm. Yeah, I can't wait either. But yeah, if anybody wants sweatshirts and sweatpants and stuff like that, just let me know. Of course, I'll have to do them myself right now until she gets the machine thing back. Thank God they had insurance on all that stuff. I used to make my own stuff all the time. But we're going to do the first one that I make and do, like I said, either a drawing or a questionnaire or just something we can all do together and have fun doing it. Yeah, to me that's the most comfortable stuff there is, which I use joggers, but about the same thing as sweatpants. I love my
sustained
stuff
cleanup
like
operation
that ain't
conducted
tight
on the
on
night
me.
of May 1st, 2025, designed to erase evidence of what happened to Lily Sullivan in that bathroom. This wasn't panic. This wasn't someone frantically trying to cover up an accident in the immediate aftermath of a tragic moment. This was calculated, premeditated, methodical. The chemicals were purchased days in advance. The cleanup was thorough and extensive. The room was made to look completely normal. The story was constructed and rehearsed. The 911 call was made at a strategic time the next morning to establish a false timeline. Every element suggests planning.
He just said it. He just said it. The call was made the following day, and not the day of. You see what I'm saying? He let that slip out of his own daggum mouth right there. So he's screwing himself up. Sometimes you put your own foot in your daggum mouth too far and it chokes you. And that's what's happened to this feller here.
Consciousness of guilt.
Dummy.
Deliberate effort to avoid accountability for what occurred. But they made one critical mistake. They thought they could erase Lily completely. They thought if they cleaned thoroughly enough, used powerful enough chemicals, made the room look normal enough, no one would ever know what happened in that bathroom. They couldn't. Based on 7 months of intensive investigation, forensic analysis,
I wouldn't give a damn if they didn't find nothing in that bathroom. I'm glad they have, but we have it on live footage of these children telling what had happened to them. And everybody just, just turns a deaf ear. And that's sorry. Authorities shouldn't say that they'd take any type acknowledgement of whatever's going on when they don't. They don't want to turn to the spiritual side of things. They don't want to believe. Well, let one of their loved ones pass and see how quick they want somebody to be able to let them hear from their loved one. Well, these children deserve the same thing. And you're right. If they're out walking around scot-free, Canada sucks. Down here, you can even try to commit murder, and they're going to lock your butt up. But they all three confessed. And then, numbnuts, he went and ran his car in the water and near about killed himself. Finally got out of the hospital. I mean,
digital evidence, witness statements, and timeline reconstruction, investigators have developed a theory of what actually occurred in the Sullivan home on the evening of May 1st, 2025. We can't know every detail with absolute certainty without someone confessing fully and honestly to what happened.
I've
But
got
the
it.
evidence paints a clear and deeply disturbing picture. According to the timeline established through multiple sources, electronic device data, smart home systems, forensic analysis, and witness statements, the incident in the bathroom occurred sometime between 8 and 10 p.m. on May 1st. The children's tablets show their last activity around 7:30 to 8 p.m., suggesting something happened after that time that prevented them from continuing their normal evening routine. Smart home device data shows that spike in noise from the hallway near the children's rooms at approximately 9:45 p.m., significantly above normal background levels. Investigators believe Lily was in the bathroom that evening, possibly for her bedtime bath or bathroom routine. This would have been completely normal. Children that age have established bedtime routines, and bathing is typically part of that routine. Malaya was with her in the bathroom. Daniel was elsewhere in the house, possibly with Jack in another room, or downstairs with baby Meadow. What happened next is where the evidence becomes particularly disturbing. Based on the location and pattern of biological traces revealed through luminol testing, forensic experts believe Lily was injured while in or near the bathtub. The evidence on the wall at a height of 3 feet from the floor suggests an injury occurred while she was standing or being moved near that wall. Blood pattern analysts, specialists with extensive training and experience in interpreting what biological evidence reveals about the events that created it, have examined every detail. They look at factors like the size and shape of traces, the distribution across surfaces, the height at which evidence appears on walls, and many other technical details that help reconstruct what happened. The nature of the specific injury cannot be determined with certainty without recovering Lily's body and conducting an autopsy that would reveal the full extent of trauma. But the amount and distribution of biological evidence suggests significant trauma occurred. This wasn't a minor injury. This wasn't a scraped knee or a bumped head. Forensic analysts who've examined the patterns believe the injury.
That's why they knew if they laid that child under grandma's camper that should be facing the elements, animals, you name it. And by the time that they got word that someone seen something under the camper, just ended up being just one bone. But if that bone, like I said earlier, if it still has bone marrow in it, there you go. They're not going to get out of this. This is getting too big.
Would have required immediate medical attention.
Because this is
the kind of injury
happened
where any
in the
responsible
beginning.
adult would immediately call 911, would rush the child to an emergency room, would do everything possible to get help, but no medical help was sought, no call to emergency services, no trip to a
Yeah.
hospital or urgent care facility. Instead, Daniel and Malaya made a different choice. They chose to conceal what had occurred. They chose to clean up the evidence. They chose to eliminate any trace of what happened in that bathroom.
Do people not understand? Do people not understand that it's also a crime to try to cover a crime? How much more stuff do they need on them? You know, how much more? There's no way. Yeah, there's no way that they can come back from this. And even being in Canada, I don't believe that they're going to let these people just walk free. They've done admitted to it. While I guess they're in the jailhouse, they got the court order to go in and work with the equipment that they should have worked with in the beginning. But now they found all this evidence. Yeah. I don't think that they're out running around shopping and doing what they want to do. No. There you go.
And that choice tells investigators and prosecutors everything they need to know about consciousness of guilt. Even if an injury occurred accidentally, even if it occurred during discipline that went tragically wrong, the right thing to do, the legal thing to do, the moral thing to do is get immediate medical attention. But they didn't do that. The cleanup operation that followed was extensive and deliberate. The biological evidence was scrubbed from surfaces using the industrial-strength cleaning products that had been purchased days in advance. These weren't products someone happens to have in their home. These were specialized products that Malaya specifically researched and ordered online before.
Days prior to all this, he just slipped up again. Days prior before all this.
Or May 1st. That fact alone suggests premeditation. It suggests planning. It suggests someone knew they might need powerful cleaning chemicals capable of breaking down biological material. Cleaning chemicals were poured down drains in an attempt to flush away biological evidence. The room was made to look normal and unremarkable, as if nothing unusual had occurred there. This kind of cleanup takes significant time and effort. It's not something you do in a few minutes. It demonstrates planning and consciousness of guilt. But what happened to Jack? The evidence regarding Jack is less clear because no biological evidence belonging to him has been recovered from the bathroom or anywhere else in the house.
I guess
Investigators
not,
have developed theories based on the overall evidence and timeline, but without physical evidence specifically tied to Jack,
dummy.
They're working with less certainty. One theory is that Jack witnessed what happened to Lily, that he was present when his sister was injured, that he saw something no 4-year-old child should ever see, and that made him a liability, a witness who could tell people what happened, a child who might talk to teachers or neighbors.
So he turned that around. He's turned that around now, trying to throw it over on Jack. The Jack witnessed what they did to Lily. No, see, they can say that all they want to, but I have got proof, audio proof, that that's not the case. That they did Jack this way first. She yanked him up by his neck and threw him around in that bathroom until he was dead. Period. And Lily had to stand there and listen to that mess. And then I'm sure she knew I'm next. Through all the cleaning and the carrying on, of course, the last bit of evidence is going to be Lily's. Everything else within a week and a half, done washed out. So all they have now is the blood that stained and held on, and it come back as Lily's. See, and that's what I'm talking about. When I catch somebody in a lie, that's what I call them out on. Yes, exactly, Beck. Okay, Judy, thank you for being here, honey. Sleep well.
Neighbors or family members about what he saw. Another theory is that Jack was harmed separately, possibly in a different location in the house where cleanup was more straightforward or where biological evidence wasn't deposited in ways that could be detected months later. The smart home device data showing that noise spike at 9:45 p.m. could correspond to either the bathroom incident itself or events involving Jack in another part of the house. Without Jack's remains being recovered and examined, without additional physical evidence being discovered, investigators can't say with certainty exactly what happened to him or in what sequence events occurred. But what they can say with confidence is that both children...
They made Daniel and Logan go and show where and how they placed the bodies. Now, it would be a little bit harder now, or well then, to cipher between, banging around, and then all of a sudden you may have a big animal such as a bear or mountain lion or anything, and that ripped open the rest of the sleeping bag. The bones would have scratch marks on them, as far as from animals. So if they couldn't get external ways of death, then they could definitely get internal. Because with the way he was being done, picked up by the throat, throwing it around, hitting this, hitting that. He tells it himself. Then you're gonna have bleeding around the brain. You're just a lot of things. If he hit the counter in his stomach just the right way, it could have ruptured his spleen. It could have damaged his liver. Could have split his spinal cord in half, paralyzing him from neck down, killing him instantly. But they have the remains of these kids, and why are they still? Well, I know why, because they're trying to cover their ass for not doing their job in the first place. We all know that. We all got sense enough to know that. But this gives, yeah, we got red foxes here too. We know when this comes out to wash that they're all going to be held accountable for it. I don't care what country you're in. I don't believe that you can go and turn yourself in, report what you have done, and walk free. No. I can't believe that, and I won't believe it. Mm-mm-mm. Well, I about heard all that I need to hear for tonight. I'm going to go ahead and get off here, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Keep an eye on your devices. I don't know exactly what time I may go live. Yeah. I love every one of you.